Welcome to my channel BBC Rare Coins. In this video we were talking about U.S 5-cent coin. Among the countless coins minted throughout American history, few hold the mystique and allure of the rarest US 5-cent piece, a coin so scarce and valuable, it has become legendary among collectors. Top 1. They say treasure is found in chests buried beneath the earth, but what if the real treasure is hiding in your pocket? A simple coin, often overlooked, carrying a secret worth thousands. This is the story of the 1979 US 5-cent piece, a coin that looks ordinary to most but holds a staggering value of $55,000. One of the most surprising and mysterious coins in American history, this nickel has become a legend among collectors. The year was 1979. While disco filled the airwaves and technology began to reshape everyday life, the US Mint continued producing millions of Jefferson nickels. Most were struck, circulated, and forgotten, just another part of everyday commerce. But something unexpected happened. A small number of these nickels turned out different. Struck with minting errors or produced under highly unusual conditions, these rare few became instant treasures. At first glance, there's nothing unusual. The familiar face of Thomas Jefferson. The iconic Monticello on the reverse. But the rare versions of this coin are far from average. Some carry doubling on the lettering or date, others show striking errors like off-center designs or unusually sharp features due to early die usage. And then, there are those minted on the wrong metal planchet, a mistake that instantly transforms a common coin into an ultra-rare collectible. Only a few of these 1979 nickels have surfaced, but when they do, they break records. One of them, authenticated and professionally graded, sold for a jaw-dropping $55,000. A 5-cent coin, fetching a price higher than many cars. What makes it so valuable is a combination of rarity, condition, and mystery. It's a numismatic enigma, an accident of history that now commands the attention of serious collectors. Imagine finding one in a jar of old change. You're sifting through coins, maybe just killing time. You come across a 1979 nickel. You pause. The details look crisper, the edges cleaner. Something about it feels off, in the best way. You send it off to be graded. And weeks later, you're holding a coin valued at tens of thousands of dollars. That's not just luck, that's history rediscovered. Collectors know that hidden treasures still exist. Rare coins don't just live in museums or vaults. Sometimes they sit unnoticed for decades, in drawers, in piggy banks, in dusty boxes passed from one generation to the next. The rare 1979 5-cent coin is a reminder to pay attention to the small things. It proves that even the most ordinary items can carry incredible stories and incredible value. So next time you get change at the store or go through an old coin jar, take a second look. Because somewhere out there, another $55,000 nickel is waiting to be found. Top 2. They say the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises, and in the world of coins, that couldn't be more true. Sitting quietly in pockets, drawers, and jars across America is a 5-cent coin from 1981 that looks like any other, but in rare cases, it's anything but ordinary. Today, we uncover the story of the 1981 US 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that has stunned collectors and dealers with its shocking value. One verified specimen has sold for a jaw-dropping $53,000, making it one of the most unexpected treasures in American numismatic history. To understand how a coin meant to be worth just 5 cents could command tens of thousands of dollars, we have to go back to the basics: how coins are made, what can go wrong, and why those imperfections make all the difference. In 1981, the US Mint was nearing the end of a design era. The Jefferson Nickel had been in production since 1938, featuring the third president's portrait on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Millions were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But even with all that mass production, not all coins were created equal. Some 1981 nickels came off the press with rare minting errors. We're talking doubled dice, off-center strikes, coins struck on the wrong metal, or transitional planchet errors that happened during a shift in metal composition. These kinds of mistakes are incredibly scarce, but when they happen, they create coins unlike any others. One particular 1981 nickel, verified and professionally graded at the highest levels, made headlines when it sold for $53,000. The details were razor sharp, the surfaces untouched, and most importantly, it featured an error so rare that only a handful are believed to exist. That single flaw, invisible to the average person, turned a 5-cent coin into a small fortune. It's the kind of story that lights up the eyes of every coin collector. Because unlike gold bars or luxury cars, these treasures don't announce themselves. They don't shine from behind glass in museums. They're silent, subtle, hidden in plain sight. Think about that for a second. How many times have you handled a nickel and never looked at the date? Never checked for unusual marks or misaligned features? That one moment of curiosity, that second glance, could be worth thousands. The $53,000 nickel didn't start out in a safe or a showcase. It likely passed through hands, maybe even vending machines or cash drawers, before someone finally recognized its true value. That's the magic of numismatics. Every coin has a journey. And sometimes, that journey ends with a life-changing discovery. Collectors are always on the hunt. They study strike patterns, inspect lettering for doubling, weigh coins to check for wrong planchets. The 1981 nickel that broke records likely combined all three: rarity, perfection, and mystery. But it's not just about the money. It's about owning a piece of history that slipped through the cracks. A mistake, yes, but a beautiful, valuable mistake that now sits in a protective case, admired by collectors worldwide. If you have a jar of old change, don't ignore the nickels. Look at them closely. Study the date. Check the mint mark. You don't need to be an expert to make a discovery, just curious enough to notice what others miss, because that's all it takes. One coin, one glance, one moment, and suddenly, a common 1981 nickel becomes the most exciting thing you've ever found. So keep your eyes open. Because somewhere out there, another $53,000 nickel is waiting to be found, and the next person to find it might be you. Top 3. In the world of coins, the rarest treasures are often the ones no one expects. A small, worn coin that's passed through hundreds of hands might look like nothing special, just another piece of loose change. But every once in a while, a coin tells a different story. A story of error, mystery, and unimaginable value. Today, we're talking about one of the most surprising discoveries in American numismatic history, the 1984 U.S. 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that looks common but has, in one extraordinary case, sold for an unbelievable $49,000. That's right, a 5-cent coin worth nearly 50 grand. How does that happen? How does a coin you could pull from a pocket or a drawer end up as one of the most valuable nickels ever discovered? Let's go back to 1984. It was a year of change. The Apple Macintosh was introduced. The Los Angeles Olympics lit up the world. And at the US Mint, production of coins continued as usual. The Jefferson Nickel had been around for decades, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Hundreds of millions were struck that year. But among those millions, a tiny number were different. Somewhere in the chaos of high-speed coin presses and metal planchets flying through the machines, an error occurred. Maybe a misaligned die. Maybe a doubled design. Maybe a planchet that was never supposed to be used for a nickel at all. That small mistake, barely visible to the average person, created a coin that would become a silent legend in the numismatic community. The rare 1984 nickel that fetched $49,000 didn't do it with flash or fame. It did it with mystery. Subtle differences, sharp doubling on the lettering, strange shifts in the design, or weight anomalies that indicate the wrong metal, turned this everyday coin into a one-of-a-kind rarity. To the untrained eye, it was just another nickel. To a collector, it was gold, and what makes it even more fascinating is how it was discovered. It wasn't locked away in a vault. It wasn't in a high-security auction house from the start. No, it was found in circulation. Just sitting there, hiding in plain sight. That's what makes coins like the 1984 5-cent piece so exciting. You don't need to be a millionaire to find one. You don't need to be an expert with a microscope. You just need to look, really look, at the change in your hand. Collectors know that some of the most valuable coins in existence started as accidents. Mint workers aren't perfect, and in those rare moments when something goes wrong, something incredibly valuable can be created. These coins are a blend of history, human error, and pure chance, and that makes them priceless to the right buyer. The 1984 nickel that sold for $49,000 wasn't just rare. It was in exceptional condition. That means it was likely pulled from circulation early or never used at all. No scratches. No heavy wear. Just crisp details and the kind of sharpness that makes coin graders take notice. It's the kind of coin that makes people dream. Not just because of the money, although $49,000 is hard to ignore, but because of the possibility. The idea that something so small, so overlooked, could hold such immense value. Imagine this: you're sorting through old coins at your parents' house. A few nickels spill out of an envelope. One of them looks like the rest, but for some reason, you take a closer look. You see the date, 1984. The color feels a bit off. The details look just a little too sharp. You get curious. You check the weight, the strike, the lettering, and then, you realize, you might be holding something incredible. This is what keeps collectors hooked. The thrill of the hunt. The chance to find something historic in the most ordinary of places. So if you have old change lying around, don't just let it sit there. Take a closer look. Especially at those nickels. Especially the ones from 1984. Because lightning has already struck once, a $49,000 nickel is out there. And there could be more, you just have to find it. Top 4. Not all treasure is buried in the ground or locked away in high-security vaults. Some of the most valuable discoveries in history have slipped quietly through our hands, unnoticed, disguised as everyday pocket change. And one of those hidden treasures is the unassuming 1990 US 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that, in a rare and shocking twist, has been sold for as much as $46,000. That's right, $46,000, for a 5-cent coin. It sounds like fiction, but it's very real. While most nickels from 1990 are worth exactly what they say, 5 cents, a few carry a hidden story that transforms them into rare, valuable collectibles. They are the result of freak occurrences at the US Mint, where millions of coins are produced every year, and even the smallest error can give birth to something extraordinary. Let's rewind to 1990. The world was changing. The Cold War was ending, the internet was starting to take shape, and the US Mint was quietly continuing its mission, striking billions of coins to keep the nation's economy running. Among those coins were Jefferson nickels, featuring the third president on the front and his historic Monticello home on the back. They were mass-produced, handled daily, and rarely given a second glance, but hidden among those countless nickels were a few outliers. Coins that were struck with mistakes. Coins that were never meant to exist. One particular 1990 nickel made headlines when it was discovered to have a rare mint error combined with a flawless, untouched surface. It was submitted for professional grading and authentication, and the results were stunning. The coin was in near-perfect condition, possibly never even circulated, and carried an unusual error that instantly caught the attention of collectors. When it finally hit the auction block, it fetched an unbelievable $46,000. Now, let's break that down. What makes a nickel worth thousands? First, minting errors. These are mistakes that happen during the coin's production. They could include things like doubled dies, where part of the design appears twice, or a coin being struck on the wrong type of metal. These errors are incredibly rare, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. Second, grade and condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin in average circulation might grade somewhere around 10 or 15. But a coin that's graded above 65, especially from a year like 1990, is almost unheard of. The higher the grade, the higher the value. The $46,000 nickel was believed to be in that top-tier condition, making it a true gem. Third, demand and scarcity. There are only a few of these error coins known to exist from 1990. And when something is both rare and desirable, the price goes up fast. Collectors will pay a premium for coins that almost never appear on the market, especially ones from modern decades, which are notoriously hard to find in pristine condition. What's even more fascinating is that these rare nickels aren't always found in banks or coin shows. Some are discovered in old piggy banks, forgotten drawers, or jars full of spare change. The person who found the $46,000 1990 nickel didn't need special equipment or a museum collection, just a sharp eye, a bit of curiosity, and the good fortune to notice something others missed. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes, it's dull silver and small enough to slip through your fingers. But for those who pay attention, who check the date, examine the surface, and know what to look for, the reward can be life-changing. So the next time you're handed a handful of change, don't be so quick to toss it aside. Look closely at your nickels. Look at the year. Look at the details. Is there doubling? A strange shine? An unusual weight or thickness? You never know what might be in your hand. The rare 1990 nickel teaches us that not all value is obvious. That even in the most ordinary places, something extraordinary can be waiting. One overlooked coin. One moment of awareness. One decision to take a second look, and suddenly, a 5-cent piece becomes a $46,000 story. And here's the best part, that coin was found once, which means it could be found again. Maybe it's in a forgotten jar at the back of a closet. Maybe it's sitting in your car's cup holder right now. Or maybe, just maybe, it's in your pocket, because in the fascinating world of coin collecting, even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. Top 5. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes the most unassuming coins hide the most incredible secrets. A coin you might pass by every day, tucked away in your pocket or jar of spare change, can turn out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of one such treasure, the 1998 US 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that, in an astonishing twist of fate, has been sold for a staggering $42,000. That's right, $42,000 for a coin originally valued at just 5 cents. How does a coin from 1998, a relatively recent year, achieve such an unbelievable price? The answer lies deep in the world of minting errors, rarity, and perfect preservation. Let's step back to 1998. The world was buzzing with technology, music, and new ideas, and the US Mint was busy producing millions of nickels featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved Monticello on the reverse. These coins were meant to be everyday currency, used, spent, and forgotten. But amid the countless coins struck that year, a few slipped through the cracks with unique flaws that turned them into prize collectors' items. One particular 1998 nickel stands apart. Unlike the millions that circulated freely, this coin was born with a rare minting error that few have ever seen. Whether it was a double die, an off-center strike, or an unusual planchet used by mistake, this anomaly instantly made it a one-in-a-million find. But rarity alone isn't enough to reach such a lofty price. Condition matters just as much. This 1998 nickel was found in near-perfect, mint-state condition, as if it had never been touched by human hands or circulated in the economy. Its surfaces were flawless, its edges sharp, and its details crisp, earning it one of the highest possible grades from professional coin graders. Combine that near-mint condition with a rare mint error, and you have a recipe for a coin worth $42,000. What's truly amazing is how such a valuable coin can remain hidden for so long. This nickel likely spent years in a drawer or jar, unnoticed. Perhaps it was mixed with everyday change, never catching anyone's eye until one collector finally spotted the subtle differences that made it extraordinary. It's a reminder to all of us, sometimes, incredible value is hiding in the most ordinary places. The coins in your pocket or piggy bank might be more than just currency, they could be keys to a fortune. For collectors, finding a coin like the 1998 nickel is the ultimate thrill. It's not just about the money, though $42,000 is nothing to scoff at. It's about owning a piece of history, a rare artifact that tells a story of craftsmanship, chance, and time. Imagine the journey of that nickel, struck by powerful presses, inspected, and sent out into the world. Then, slipping through unnoticed, carried by countless hands, until it finally found someone who recognized its true worth. This story is proof that treasure still exists in unexpected places. It shows us that even coins minted in recent decades can hold staggering value if we only take the time to look closer. So next time you sort through your change, don't just toss those nickels aside. Look for the details. Check the dates. Notice the unusual markings or imperfections. You might just be holding a rare gem, a 1998 nickel that could be worth $42,000. In the fascinating world of coin collecting, fortune favors the curious. And sometimes, that fortune jingles quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to discover its incredible secret.